Hey YouTube, it's Urgo, and as I've told you a lot of times, I like watching a lot of movies, and I actually just rewatched a really old sort of classic geek slash, I don't know, culture movie of our time last night, and it got me thinking that I want to share a whole bunch of movies with you guys here. So this isn't exactly a top 10 list. It's fact, it has 12 on it, and it's also not necessarily like the absolute best or the only ones that I'd recommend in either or any of these different genres, but I just went through and came up with a bunch of sort of top movies of sorts of my favorites, and I wanted to share them with you guys. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, these might be interesting to you. So the first one I wanted to mention is The Social Network. This movie is the story of how Facebook was sort of created, and actually sort of the behind the scenes is I watched this movie when Social Blade was sort of just starting out, and it really did inspire me to go, and I actually got some whiteboards and drew out a whole bunch of things on how I wanted the site to change. And over the next couple of weeks, I revamped the site completely into not the version you see now, but the version previous to that, because the version before that was absolutely horrible. So The Social Network, I don't know, it just is really inspiring, you know, the story of Facebook and how you create a website, basically. So I recommend that one there. The next movie I want to talk about, it's a similar genre. It's the movie Hackers. Saw this movie when I was still in high school, actually. It's rather an older one, but it's still, I'd say, in the at least geek industry, sort of a classic movie that I recommend everyone sees. It's, you know, the story of how these teenagers get framed for doing something, something they really shouldn't have done, but not all that bad, and how that a lot of computer stuff is over criticized by the media. People don't really understand what it is that's going on, and how people can, like computer hackers in general, actually do often want to get together and really help society in general, and they're often looked at in a negative way. So the movie does a good job of portraying them in a positive light, because that is the case for a lot of them. The next sort of section here are sort of one of my favorite genres is time travel. And these two are, I don't know, they're not necessarily the absolute best in time travel, but I really do like them. So the first one is more of a fun one. Flight of the Navigator was a movie I also saw when I was a kid that it involves some time travel, not a whole lot, but it does involve some, and it's just a really cool story following, you know, this kid as he basically gets a concussion, if you will, falls asleep, and then ends up, 5-10 years in the future, I don't remember how long. And it's sort of his story of trying to figure out, oh crap, well, what happened, and then exploring, and then it has some time travel elements in there also. Really, I'd say one of my favorite movies from a kid that still I'd say is really relevant today. Next one is actually a little more in-depth. It's actually probably the most scientific time travel movie I've ever seen, Primer. And yeah, it just really puts forth a lot of science into it also, and has just a really cool take on it there. Just definitely very possible that it could happen. So if you're looking for something like that, I recommend it. One other movie that I saw that's not exactly time travel, but it's definitely computer related in the fun genre also there, is actually sort of relevant to today when virtual reality is becoming more and more of a thing now. It's the movie Brain Scan. Brain Scan basically took place, I think it was done in the mid-90s, and it's, you know, you basically get into this virtual world and interact with it in there, and just weird stuff starts happening out of there. I know as I'm telling you about these movies here, I'm not the best one for giving you synopsis of things, but just trust me that each of these movies is really good in its own light. The next couple of movies I'd categorize more in the thinking category, if you will. Some of these are actually recent ones. So the first two are Interstellar and Inception. These both came out, you know, within the past few years, and they're huge blockbuster movies. But I also, they're some of my favorite movies, just because it involves a lot of, you know, science also, But then it's also the huge Hollywood thing also. So Interstellar is definitely one of my favorite movies I've seen recently, specifically because of what happens sort of towards the end with the Tesseract that they have and how it's time travel also because they can sort of see through time of sorts. Sorry, little spoiler there. And then Inception just, I don't know, because it's going into the mind and going into these various different levels. And they just did a really cool job with all of that there. So yeah, those two. The next one is, the next two are ones that I would say are also one of my favorite genres, including all the time travel and everything also. There's a lot more sort of story and storytelling to it rather than going all over the place and having all sorts of different scenes. The two I'm talking about are The Man from Earth and The Traveling Salesman. The Man from Earth takes place in a cabin, and it's all just the characters having conversations with each other. And then Traveling Salesman, though it does have some scenes sort of outside of the main office, it's more or less one meeting with flashbacks and whatnot. Man from Earth, I can't really say too much without spoiling it in general, but it's a bunch of, I think they're all professors at a university, and you get some, I don't know, it just tells the story of a situation that becomes more and more unbelievable, but they do a really good job of selling it, and everything really kind of fits in there. The Traveling Salesman is actually sort of more of a computer science problem. It's about these really super smart people coming together. The next category is sort of just in general the fun ones. Office Space is the movie that I actually watched last night, and it tells the story of pretty succinctly of how a lot of people have to work in cubicles. I obviously work from home now, but I did have a day job in cubicles. What was it, about 8 years ago, something like that? And I mean, I didn't hate my job like they sort of portray in the movie, but they pretty accurately tell a lot of the things that happen working in an office building. Similar to the show The Office, but Office Space came before it, and yeah, watch it if you haven't seen it. So the final two on the list are sort of bonus ones since we've now done 10. I had to include this one because the movie's The Internship, and it tells about, sort of trying to work at Google. And it's, they take so much to sort of the next level, a lot like the TV show Silicon Valley, which I highly recommend too. But, I don't know, it just puts things in a really fun way, and it's stupid, but somewhat realistic also, I think. I haven't worked at Google, but I think a lot of things are somewhat similar to how they do things there. And then the very last one, I'd be amiss to make a movie list like this and not include it, since Back to the Future Day was like 2 weeks ago, something like that, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I actually went to the theater and watched all of the movies in the theater there. They had like all three back to back in my local theater. And I hadn't actually seen the first two in a while, and it was really amazing. I was sort of actually comparing Office Space to this. When you're looking at movies to see how they've aged over the years, Back to the Future, a lot of it, you couldn't really tell when it was made. A lot of it's sort of timeless there. Obviously, when they go back in time, since it's sort of a timepiece also, obviously that stuff you can tell. But in general, it was kind of a timeless movie. Unlike Office Space, where I'm watching these really old computers and just laughing. But anyway, that's my top 12 list of movies I'd recommend, plus one TV show apparently. Let me know if you've seen these movies, and I'll put links in the description to a place where you can find out more information about all of them. I have no idea if you can get these on Netflix or things like that right now, but if you're able to, or if you have a copy of them, go give them a shot and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on them also. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting, liking, and subscribing. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Take care.